Before I start my speech, kindly allow me to change something in my presentation, the introduction, I mean. It's true, I'm the member of the initiative, Afriregister, with my friend Mohamed Diop. I'm not the Director General. However, I am the chairman of I'm the chairperson of the registration bureau of Afriregister of Burundi, and at the same time I represent the .BI, which is the CCTLD reserved for Burundi. I thank you for your kind attention for this correction that I have made so far. I belong to AF Registrar, but I'm not the DG. I mean, the DG has not yet been nominated. Maybe this will happen and I will be taking that seat. I don't know. I'm getting older and older, and maybe somebody else will be getting that seat. Having said that, let me now pronounce my speech, knowing that my predecessors, having taken the floor, have virtually covered almost all that I had to say. I will try to be very brief to allow our host and to allow participants to this forum to take advantage of the discussions that will come and during the panels and during the following days. I had prepared my speech in English, but I will be going both in English and in French for the better understanding for everybody. I'm sorry for that change. I will be as brief as possible anyway. Like my predecessors, I would sincerely like to start commenting on the host country, that is Benin, and its various representatives present here for the warm welcome and all the facilities to allow us to be holding this forum, and also to enable us to take advantage of our state here in order to really benefit from the culture of Benin. It is for me a privilege, and I'm greatly honored also to take the floor to present this introductory speech on this forum, DNS in Africa. And for that reason, I would like to thank the organizers that have provided me with that privilege. As you too know, this is the 6th edition of the forum, and as it has already been said, it will deal with issues related to building a sustainable industry for DNS in Africa. The topic, as you see somewhere there, is building a sustainable DNS in Africa. I think the translation has been very well done. said that I will not be long. Statistically speaking, I have to say that people have already announced some figures about the issue of demand here in Africa, and if we have to compare the global performance to the performance of Africa, we are really lagging behind with a registration of about 2.3% of the total of domain names in other countries, and less than 1% of the overall of the domain names, including the generic domain names .net, .org, and so on and so forth. So Africa is really lagging behind, and because of its population of about 1 billion of inhabitants, we should normally have a percentage that should be higher, maybe say at about 6%. That means we still have a long way to go. But of course, we hope that with the dynamics, business internet in Africa has been a little bit slow, but more and more the interest of African stakeholders is becoming obvious, and there are more and more resources. There is more and more interest from the states, from various stakeholders, especially in this internet business. As has already been said, we notice that the part of the internet that is related to the management of IPs started especially with the exponential evolution of the number of mobile phones that are used in Africa. And this, in fact, is a specificity for Africa. If we look at the growth at the global level, if we are not the first, we are not far from there. I'm not going to delay on those statistics, but I will rather mention the challenges and the possible solutions that can help us to build a sustainable industry for the DNS in Africa. Among these challenges, we have infrastructure, optic fiber, and all this. Now, these challenges are now being faced progressively. The access to internet, as it has been said, in Benin and also in part of West Africa is increasing, and the users of internet are having more and more are able to have access to internet. I don't have any idea about cost, but one of the challenges is to really levy the cost so that many African people in the continent could have access to internet. The second challenge is related to policies and regulation in the area of internet in general, and also in the domain name in particular. I am happy to notice that in Benin you have resolved the issue in order to enable industries to develop themselves. I hail this effort, and I think that this will become a model to be followed by the other companies. There are very few countries that have already resolved this issues of policies in operation. This is itself in some countries, and because of the fact that we did not have a lot of experience, and because our legislation do not have appropriate provisions, but anyway, it is now starting timidly. Then let me say that this forum, Africa DNS Forum, we will have to discuss about the policies, the government policies of various countries as far as the promotion of Internet is concerned, and particularly as far as the DNS is concerned, and also talk about the role of stakeholders so that this can be an ecosystem that will be made easier based on regulatory and legislative provisions. Another burning issue concerns, as we said, the issue of market development for the DNS in Africa. And as rightly mentioned by Mr. Pierre Dangenou, I can carry out a very comprehensive and key study for us. And that study was presented last year during a forum, and this will be for us a reference for the various actions to be taken so that the Internet market could be promoted and be useful in the digital economy in which we are evolving today. As far as the DNS market is concerned, we still have a lot of challenges. However, I'm not going to mention them all, but in general we have problems related to education and the culture of Africa. You know that the current level of educational literacy is very low in Africa, and talking about culture, we still have some challenges, problems that is a hindrance to the sector of Internet to move on satisfactorily. Let me mention mainly the orality culture, one we compare to other countries which are used to the written literature. But for us, some are still at the level of oral literature that has been developed until now. But we are working towards making some progress. That is a challenge for the production of the DNS. However, about the issue of IP, as the telephone communication is something that has become commonplace. Access to the mobile is now in remote villages where we have mobile. We also have access to Internet, which is made possible. The Internet through IP. I would also mention the level of poverty, which is crucial, that makes the cost of Internet very difficult to access by the population. At that level, there is also an effort to be made by the various stakeholders. And may I call upon our colleagues to take into account a promotion fund for that entrepreneurship of the youngsters and women in the industry, Internet industry, in the technology of information and communication in general, and this may promote reduction of poverty and give some possibilities to African citizens in order to have access to internet and use the various tools made available to them for the benefit of the digital economy. There are two specific cases that I would like to mention here. These are about challenges to be taken to account during this forum. These are the roles that is played by the AFTLD and the challenges that the associations have and that may have to be faced to better operate. But also I would like to mention the issue of that Africa that has already been accredited by ICANN and that continues to have some challenges. There is a case at the court currently in the USA. I don't know if this has been settled. So then the representative of maybe the representative of ICANN would say a word about that. But I think that we should be able to really take advantage of our digital identity because we feel more African. I am from Burundi, for example, and I feel more African than a citizen of Burundi, but I'm proud to be a citizen of Burundi, but I'm also proud to be an African. So in Africa, I think that we have to help our friends to find solutions to the pending solutions so that we can express ourselves very freely as we have an identity. Finally, let me recall that for the talking about the internet industry, the DNS industry in Africa, it does not concern personalities or institutions that are mentioned as mentioned by my predecessors, but it concerns everybody. Internet is for everybody, and at a given time, the slogan is a internet society is or was internet for everyone. More and more, it is becoming a reality, and everybody is now virtually stakeholder in the internet economy. Let me say that during this forum, I think that we will have to review the role allocated or devoted to each, what we can do to improve in order to promote the internet industry in Africa, and particularly the domain name industry in a sustainable way. I would like to thank you very much, and kindly bear with me because I have not expressed myself in English, but I know that the audience here may also be able to understand French. And anyway, in any case, for those who may have some problems, I can send them my speech. I forward them my speech through email. Mr. Barak already has a copy. Kindly bear with me. Thank you very much, Chief of the Staff, representing the Minister of Digital Economy and Communication. And I also comment on all the other delegates, participants. Let me stop here, thanking you very much and wishing fruitful deliberations to our forum. I thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Ciza. Je voudrais rectifier.
Thank you, Dr. Sila. I'd like to rectify respect to the introduction of Mrs. Sila. It was an introductory keynote for the forum. Thank you all for listening to us with great attention. We'll then move to the coffee break before workshops begin. So you're invited to join the entrance to refresh yourself. Thank you very much.
À votre attention, s'il vous plaît. Nous allons prendre juste une pause de 15 minutes. S'il vous plaît, à votre attention, s'il vous plaît. Nous allons prendre une pause de 15 minutes à cause du retard que nous avons accusé. Et s'il vous plaît, ceux qui ont